Hello and welcome to BOIImpact. I'm Olagunju. On this edition of the program, we bring you the 4th Annual General Assembly of the Association of Nigerian Development Finance Institutions, ANDFI, held recently in Abuja. Inaugurated in 1982, ANDFI is the professional body of the federal, regional, state and other development finance institutions in Nigeria. The primary objective of the Annual General Assembly is to serve as a forum for DFIs in Nigeria to discuss and exchange ideas on issues of common interest, while also providing a platform for members to cooperate in areas of investment, finance, sustainable growth, and capacity building. The Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, Dr. Doris Uzoka Anite, was represented at the conference by the Chairman, BOI Shareholders Committee, Mr. Mohammed Bala, the Chairman of ANDFI and Managing Director, Chief Executive Officer of the Bank of Industry, Dr. Oluseun, led the Executive Committee members to the AGM. Also in attendance were representatives of federal, regional and state DFIs in Nigeria. They converged on Abuja for the 4th General Assembly to discuss ways ANDFI could achieve its objectives and, in line with its vision, to be a leading advocate for virile rail sector development in Africa. Here are highlights of the event. A dinner event to welcome delegates and set the tone for the General Assembly held the night before the conference. At the dinner, the special guest, Mr. Manuel Moses, the CEO of the African Trade and Investment Development Insurance, ATIDI, spoke on the pivotal role of credit guarantee in sustainable financing in Africa. In the topic, Credit Guarantee, a catalyst for development and growth of the African economy.
I'm so privileged to be amongst you. You have a wonderful association trying to do the right thing. Why are we doing this? It's because we all know not even one government can employ the number of people that we are generating in our economies. The private sector has to do this. We need the private sector to be crowded in, create the jobs, but enabled by financing from you. Let us work together. Let us work tirelessly. Let us be impatient, actually.
The theme for the 4th Annual General Assembly of ANDFI is Financing Emerging Sectors for Growth, the Role of DFIs. This is in line with the mission of ANDFI, which is to become the hub where issues relating to real sector development in Nigeria are discussed and communicated to government and stakeholders to provide an appropriate environment for the development of financial institutions in Nigeria. In his welcome address, the chairman of ANDFI, who is also the director representing West Africa on the Board of Governors of the Association of African Development Finance Institutions, ADFI, MD of the Bank of Industry, Dr. Oluseun, urged members of ANDFI to further collaborate for more impact on economic development.
The government of His Excellency, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, has through the renewed up agenda set the blueprint for driving Nigeria towards a $1 trillion economy. The cooperation between the federal government and subnational governments is critical to these objectives. It's the collaboration with the private sector. Given our mandate as DFIs, our role cannot be overemphasized. Recently unveiled economic stabilization program of the federal government, and particularly the associated fiscal stimulus plan, attests to the fact that DFIs in Nigeria must help to engineer the transformation we hope to see in our country in the near term. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it is in this spirit of renewed hope that we convene this conference today. We must continuously work together to join our expertise, resources, and networks to unlock our economic opportunities. In the course of today's event, we hear from our distinguished speakers and panelists on how to advance our mandate as DFIs and to deliver value for our great nation, Nigeria. The task ahead may be daunting, but I am confident that we will succeed if we work together and if we speak with one voice. And to end my very brief welcome remarks, I'll leave you with this quote by Henry Ford. Coming together is a beginning, staying together is a progress, and working together is success.
The Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, Dr. Doris Uzoka-Anite, represented by the Chairman of BOI Shareholders Committee, Mr. Mohammed Bala, commended DFIs for their contributions in supporting emerging sectors of the economy.
It is pertinent to state, by providing the necessary financial resources, technical support, and enabling environment, DFIs can unlock the potential in the manufacturing sector as well as overall economic development of a nascent development countries like ours to drive sustainable and inclusive economic growth. And I'm also aware of effort of DFIs in Nigeria, such as the Bank of Industry, looking for foreign DFIs to boost its liquidity and lending investment. These are commendable efforts. As you are aware, Afrexim Bank, World Bank, African Development Banks, and the likes also align with this direction in the expansion, diversification, and support to the local sectors in the African continent in growing our economy.
In his keynote address delivered virtually, the Chief Economist and Vice President of the African Development Bank, Professor Kevin Urama, highlighted the critical role of DFIs.
So coordination and financial integration is central to making sure that we're actually taking the right actions in the right times to drive growth in our continent, in Nigeria, but also drive the risk-adjusted rates of return for the investments that we make as DFIs.
There were goodwill messages from representatives of the African Trade and Investment Development Insurance, ATIDI, Association of African Development Finance Institutions, ADFI, the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, SMEDAN, and the Nigeria Consumer Credit Corporation, Credicor.
We at ATIDI are happy to help. How do we help? You have a product you want to sell to a buyer in Tanzania. You have never seen the buyer, you don't know who they are, you are afraid to sell your goods on credit because you don't know the buyer in Tanzania. Please come to us so that we can help you de-risk that trade, that intra-African trade, so that you can sell to your brothers and sisters in Nigeria. If for whatever reason they're not able to pay you, we can step in and help.
One of the things that we realize from ADFI platform is that we can only contribute sufficiently to development. I'm talking about the development finance institution if they are strong and financially sustainable. And that's why we've taken it as part of our core strategic objective to drive effort to ensure and see that national DFIs are strengthened, that they are strong, and that they are financially sustainable.
Housing delivery, job creation, youth empowerment, women empowerment are needed now more than ever before. So it is my desire that this conference will foster meaningful collaborations and inspire impactful decisions for profitable and long-term sustainable development.
Development finance institutions play an important role in this journey, and our expertise in unlocking the affordable financing act as a catalyst for innovation and inclusivity, bridging the gap for our burgeoning industries. DFI's investment not only propel business growth, but also creates sustainable economic development and a much-needed job creation. SMEDAN is firmly committed to working with the Association of the Nigerian Development Finance Institutions to amplify this impact. And I believe that we share a common goal, which is to empower Nigerian enterprises to thrive in today's dynamic economic environment. And by working together, we can unlock new opportunities, nurture innovation, and propel these emerging sectors towards prosperity.
So our goal is to get Nigerians to the point where people can be assessed on a personal capacity for credit, have a credit infrastructure that can be trusted, people have credit scores that mean something, and the financial institutions can rely on that to lend to people, consumer credit, personal credit, to buy vehicles, to buy furniture, home improvements, to have a better quality of life and pay for it with your income, and that's a much higher quality of life.
The fourth ANDFI General Assembly featured two panel discussions. The first panel, moderated by a former acting managing director of the Bank of Industry and founder WVL Development Advisors Limited, Dr. Waheed Olagunju, discussed enhancing global private sector partnership.
Let's start with Nigeria's National Development Plan that we are aware of, 2021 to 2025. The plan was estimated to cost about 348 trillion naira to implement, which translates to about 821 billion US dollars. The private sector is expected to account for 85.7% of the investment outlay, and that translates or corresponds to about 700 billion US dollars. How can ANDFI members help us realize our development aspirations?
The DFIs need to be the financial institutions that will stimulate development in Africa. Why? We are not commercial, so we are not profit-driven. We are developmentally driven. So African governments, and Nigeria particularly, has to put more trust in its development finance institutions to enable them drive those developmental needs that the country needs. If you calculate the aggregate investment of private equity firms in Nigeria, I don't think it's beyond maybe $100 million. I don't think so. We need to start attracting the BlackRocks of this world to invest in maybe those natural capital that we have within Africa. So for me, the partnership that we need with the private sector should be around stimulating interest in what is on the ground in Africa rather than what has come out, has been extracted from the ground.
We have worked very well with ATIDI, and I think, when we look at how do we leverage other international DFIs capacity, ATIDI provides, also counter guarantees, which we have been able to leverage to reduce some of the risk associated with capacity. So we cannot guarantee, for example, financing for all the deficit, but ATIDI can take off some of the risk from our balance sheet, and they've done that very well in some projects we've done, risk sharing on our portfolio, and also taking counter guarantee positions to enable institutions like ourselves, and I believe other DFIs, to also leverage that sort of support. And that is why institutions like the Bank of Industry are very critical in addressing this issue in terms of lowering the cost of finance. We've worked closely with them, and we do expect to do a lot more in that regard.
Things like property rights is very important, especially in technological products, production. There must be strong legal framework that protects property rights. It's very, very important. Investors are looking at this particular aspect to know whether to come or not. Investors are looking at what are the incentives that we encourage them to come to Nigeria. Are these incentives there for them? Things like tax break, subsidies and grants and what have you. You need to encourage them to come around and invest locally.
The second panel discussion on inclusive projects for economic impact was moderated by Mrs. Phyllis Uzoma, Head of Risk Management at the Nigerian Mortgage Refinance Company.
Removing barriers to productivity and empowering women in the global economy can add as much as $2.8 trillion to the world GDP as soon as in the year 2025. So this brings us to today's topic on inclusive projects for economic impact.
We've partnered some agencies, both locally and internationally, to build what you call shared hubs. So what we've done is we'll put together about 300, 400, 500 of them, give them a place, and give them the most sophisticated equipment in the world those equipment can match any part of the world, whatever it is that you needed to do. You know, you will be in that facility, you have solar there, you have 8 hours of guaranteed light every day. So we looked at different strong points from different states. So we've done fashion, we've done solar system, we've done in South, we are toying with fishery. Now, if you need to start a business, and getting a place of your own is the problem. Now you have a place where you can cohabit and just transact with your fellow business owners.
We took up an initiative of recently of a project called RAPID, which is called a Rural Area Program on Investment and Development. The target is for citizens in the rural areas, minimum 20 kilometers outside the city, at an interest rate of 5%, 3-year tenure, and 6 months moratorium, and largely focusing on businesses supported by youth and women. This cut across the entire federation equally. And the whole idea is to begin a process. And luckily enough, from the announcement made recently by the federal government announcing the appointment of the new economic team, the RAPID program has been accepted now as a national project, which is a big credit to Bank of Industry, and particularly the MD of Bank of Industry, who spearheaded this initiative.
We are putting effort to see a couple of DFIs, Bank of Industry, and if you look at the Nigerian space, national DFIs, some of them are really doing very well from our assessment and indicators. But how do we ramp up and see that national DFIs in particular are very efficient? Because if they are efficient, they will be able to attract those funds. There are funds that exist, even if you are not looking at going outside Africa, within the African context.
Some of the projects that we're currently running as a country, we have what we call a GROW project, which is meant to support women enterprises, trying to move them from micro to small, and then small to medium enterprises. And it's one of the biggest projects that we have that is taking a multi-sectoral approach to ensure that the women of Uganda are being empowered to contribute to the economic development of the country.
I know BOI had an instrument where they were actually developing or financing power-related projects. I think this is very, very important to continue to do, because we still are at 4,000 megawatts of power, where we say we need about 40,000. And then new options we're exploring, which is the use of biomass to generate, for turbines that would generate electricity. So I am very, very happy to be here, because I believe that in this room there are minds that are aligned towards, reducing the cost of production, towards developing human resources, towards developing human capacity. And I believe that working together and harnessing all the discussions here will achieve great success in the very near future.
After the panel discussions, ANDFI Technical Committee Coordinator, Dr. Ezekiel Oseni, while presenting the progress report of ANDFI, thanked member DFIs for their support.
We want to acknowledge the contributions of all the member institutions. Yesterday, at its meeting, the ESCO directed the technical committee to set up 2 committees. One is Strategy and Sustainability Committee, to look at the future of ANDFI with respect to governance, funding, and independence, among others. Number 2, The ESCO also mandated that the technical committee should also set up a subcommittee on advocacy. And this is to look at how ANDFI can be an influential voice for its members.
For over 6 decades, Bank of Industry has been here, driving Nigeria's industrial development through financial and business support services to micro enterprises, small and medium enterprises, and large enterprises across Nigeria. Leveraging on strategic partnerships, we provide equipment financing, working capital, and support to enterprises in key sectors of Nigeria's economy, including youth and women-led enterprises. Whatever your business needs, starting up, expansion, diversification, modernization, or rehabilitation, we'll be here, always to support you. Bank of Industry, transforming Nigeria's industrial sector.
I want to say kudos and thanks to Bank of Industry that is making this vision come into reality. When we started, I said we started in a very small way, even though we have a very big vision. Money was a major factor, and that is why I decided to move close to BOI. And I want to say sincerely, with the introduction and provision of financial assistance from BOI, we were able to go this far to ensure that we get, equipment. We started with about, say, matron, some few nurses, about 10 of us. Now the hospital has grown to a number of close to 60 to 70 staffs, within that space of time.
An efficient and robust financial system acts as a powerful engine of economic growth and development. Development finance institutions are established and mandated to provide financial interventions for enterprises in key sectors towards the financing of long-term developmental projects. These institutions, including the Bank of Industry, are special purpose vehicles designed to offer specialized financial services, affordable and accessible financing options, and provide long-term finance for infrastructure development, industrial growth, and small and medium enterprises SME development. So, if you have a bankable business idea or you want to expand your business and you need the support of the Bank of Industry, please visit any of our offices close to you or our social media pages. And that's it on BOIImpact. I am Olagunju. Thanks for watching.